Hello, I'm Paul Carroll, technical writer for Digital Photo Magazine, and welcome to part 2 of this month's Digital Darkroom video tutorials. In this part, we're looking at how to hand tint your mono shots. Hand tinting is a great technique if you want to add a splash of colour into a mono shot, but you want full control over that colour, rather than just using the original colour in the shot, like we did with our popping colour approach. Start by opening the image bouquet.jpg of this month's CD. And you can see we have a nice bridal portrait with the subject holding her bouquet. This is pretty typical subject matter for a hand tinting approach, as the mono aesthetic will make the bride and her dress look great, and that dash of colour will really emphasise the bouquet. First, we need to convert the shot to mono, and we're going to do that using a separate layer, so make sure your layers palette is open. If yours isn't open on screen, then you can open it simply by going up to the window menu and down to layers, and it'll appear on the right hand side. Now drag the background layer over the create new layer icon, which is this grey square with a turned up corner in the top of the layers palette, and that'll create a duplicate copy of our original background layer. Next, hold down Control on the keyboard and press the letter U to bring up the hue saturation palette, and like the last technique, we're just going to reduce the saturation, completely desaturate all the colour in the image by moving the saturation slider left to a figure of -100 and click OK. Next we need to create another layer, which is the layer that we're going to add our hand tinting colour to. Now you can do that either by going up to the layer menu, new and layer, or use the keyboard shortcut, which is Control, Shift and the letter N. You'll get the new layer dialog box. Give it a name if you want to. I'm just going to leave mine as layer 1 and click OK. And you can see that's given us a new layer at the top of the stack. Next we need to choose a colour to tint with. So at the bottom of your toolbox over here on the left hand side of the screen, click in the foreground colour swatch, which is right at the bottom, and that will launch the colour picker. Now you can use the slider on the colour bar to select the rough hue that you want to tint with, and then click with your mouse in the colour square to select the exact shade. Or, if like me, you know the RGB colour values of the colour that you want to use, just pop them in the RGB boxes here on the right hand side. I'm tinting with a stylish purple, and that's got RGB values of 109 for red, 12 for the green, and 192 for the blue. And to select the colour, just simply click OK. Now we need to zoom in tight on the bouquet so that we tint accurately. So press the letter Z on the keyboard to select the zoom tool, and then click a couple of times on the bouquet itself and zoom in to 100%. Now we need a paintbrush, so back over to the toolbox and select the paintbrush, and up here in the options bar we'll click on the downward arrow to enter the brushes palette, and I'm going to select a 65 pixel soft edge brush, which is a good size for tinting this area. So making sure my blank layer 1 is highlighted, and these grey and white checkered squares on the thumbnail on layer 1 illustrate that at the moment there's currently no information on that layer. I can start painting with my paintbrush onto the bouquet, and immediately you can see that we have a problem. The purple colour is completely masking out any detail from the flowers beneath. Don't worry though, we can easily rectify this just by adjusting the blending mode of our new layer. Layer blending modes change the way the pixels on our new layer interact with the pixels on the layer directly beneath it. And if you click on the downward arrow in the blending mode box, which is at the top of the layers palette here, you get a fly out menu with all of the blending modes which are available. Each of the blending modes will have a different effect, but for hand tinting we want to select the colour blending mode, which is right down towards the bottom of the list. And you can see when I change the blending mode, it preserves the grey levels and the detail from our base layer, that's the mono layer beneath, and blends the hue and saturation of the purple colour that we've painted onto our top layer over the top. And that makes it an ideal blending mode for hand tinting mono images. Right, so I just need to finish off tinting the flowers, so I'll continue painting. I can go quite roughly to start off with. Just get the majority of them done, and then press the letter Z again on the keyboard. I'm going to zoom in quite tightly so that I can paint a lot more accurately. Hit B again on the keyboard to select my paintbrush, and now I'm going to use the left hand square bracket key just to make my paintbrush a little bit smaller, and there you can see that I can paint much more accurately right up to the edge of the petals. As I finish off painting accurately in one area, I can then hold down the space bar on the keyboard. That brings up my move tool, and then I can use my left mouse button to scroll around the image and continue tinting. There we go. Okay, this is going to take a few minutes to accurately finish hand tinting all of the petals, so I'll join you again when I've finished. Right, nearly done now. I'll just finish off this very last little bit, just a little bit of a smaller brush. Again, using the left hand square bracket key on the keyboard, I can paint right up accurately, right up to those intricate areas. I'm going to hold down Control on the keyboard, zoom out to full screen, and there we go. Our entire bouquet is hand tinted with that lovely stylish purple colour. By having our tinting colour on a separate layer, we now have all the control of the layers palette to fine-tune the finish of the hand tinting. So for example, I can use the opacity slider at the top of the layers palette here. Just click on the downward arrow and the slider comes up, and I can reduce the opacity of my purple colour for a more subtle tint. Or for an even more dramatic change, if I hold down the Control key on the keyboard and press the letter U to bring up the Hue Saturation palette, I can use the Hue slider to completely change the colour of the hand tinting and go through the full colour spectrum. Okay, I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial on hand tinting. Give it a go using the start image from off this month's CD, and then get hand tinting your own images in the future. Cheers!